We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Big mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time of night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass.
Good afternoon. Welcome to our judges, debaters here in person in the chamber of the Parliament of Guyana, the staff of the Parliament office, online viewers. Welcome, welcome, welcome again. We're a bit behind schedule, so I will go straight into introducing our judges for today. Our chief judge in this fourth debate is my dear friend, Dr. Delon Fraser, a passionate servant leader and a Capital State Counsel in the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions by profession. He enjoys working on committees, especially those that deal with public speaking and law. He was awarded a doctor in philosophy and acquired a Master of Business Administration degree, a Bachelor of Social Sciences degree in International Relations, a bachelor's degree of law, and an advanced diploma in project management. Quite a mouthful, many attributes to Mr. Fraser. He has judged many debates locally and internationally, and he is a distinguished Toastmaster and continues to serve in many leadership roles. Dr. Fraser is also the secretary of the Guyana Tennis Association, a Franklin Covey facilitator, global peace ambassador, scout, global shaper, and has recently been accredited the status of a UN peace ambassador. Welcome, Dr. Fraser. Our next judge is Mr. Stefan Gabriel, a former outstanding performer at Youth Parliament and a mentor for a number of years, I believe more than 5 years. He is a youth and community development practitioner. He is equipped with skills and experience in youth and community development, international and public affairs, business, law, governance, leadership, and management. Mr. Gabriel is the holder of a bachelor's degree also in international relations, and is pursuing his master's in international relations and a diplomacy at the University of Cumbria. He is the president of the Youth Advocacy Movement of the Guyana Responsible Parenthood Association and sits on its board of governors as a youth representative. He also has many caps. Our next judge, repeating, Mr. Sarfraz Yakub. Judge Yakub is a lecturer attached to the University of Guyana and a medical student pursuing a master's degree in international public health from the Liverpool University. He holds a degree in natural sciences, that is chemistry, and a diploma in public and international relations from the University of London. All international relations men sitting on the judges panel this afternoon. Mr. Yakub was awarded the best graduating student from the University of Guyana in the stream of environmental sciences. At Youth Parliament 2019, he was a judge, best speaker, and in 2020 was pronounced Youth of the Day by the Ministry of Culture, Youth, and Sport. He is an avid cricketer and claims to be a table tennis enthusiast, the words of Mr. Speaker. In 2022, Mr. Yakub was awarded the Connectors Award and the High Distinction Award at the World Youth Leaders Program in Dubai. Beautiful place. Welcome to all three of our judges. They're very qualified, very capable, and I'm sure they will be listening keenly. Audience, let me introduce you to our teams, which are present here in the chamber. The proposing team today is Youth Arise. With a mission of making a tangible difference in Guyana, Youth Arise became a reality on the 31st of May, 2019. The group is a non-governmental organization which operates under the mandate, Together We Rise. Together we strive to make a difference in someone's life. I love that. Youth Arise comprises of nearly 50 young adults between the ages of 15 to 24 who pool their resources to ensure that all of the events proposed by the group are carried out successfully. Since 2019, through various food drives, toy giveaways, cleanup campaigns, literacy camps, fun days, and even a health fair, among other activities, it is estimated that over 3,000 Guyanese have benefited from Youth Arise's activities. Very commendable. Kudos, continue the good work. The first speaker is Ms. Adeti McCalmont, 19 years old from Collegian, East Coast, Demerara. The second speaker, Mr. Emmanuel Asana, 18 years old from Haslington, East Coast, Demerara. And their third speaker, Ms. Trafiona Peters, 18 years old from Vigilance North, East Coast, Demerara. And who will Youth Arise go up against? Right here to my right, the Blairmont Humanitarian Organization. This group was created in 2020 with a mission to foster the development of Blairmont through collaboration, volunteerism, and humanitarianism. Over the years, Blairmont Humanitarian Organization has played an instrumental role in community engagement and social enhancement through a number of projects such as hamper distribution, fitness walks, and empowerment sessions. Judge Gabriel may need some of the fitness walk, The organization aims to foster fellowship and cooperation among stakeholders, as well as promote cultural, social, and economic development within the community. Their first speaker, Mr. Lalchan Gajadar, 19 years old from Blairmont, West Bank, Berbice. Second speaker, Mr. Amir Khan, 28 years old, also from Blairmont, West Bank, Berbice. And their third speaker, Ms. Sita Dalu, 23 years old from Blairmont, West Bank, Berbice. Welcome to both teams in the chamber here today. And I will now read the moot. The minimum legal drinking age in Guyana should be 16 years. I now declare this debate open, and I invite the first speaker of the proposing team, Ms. Adeti McCalmont from Youth Arise, to make her way to the podium for her presentation. Let's give a round of applause, those who are here.
Honorable judges, Madam Moderator, members of the opposition, audience all, a pleasant afternoon. I, Adiat McCalman, stand today as the first speaker of the proposition, conforming with today's moot, and I quote, the minimum legal drinking age in Guyana should be 16 years, end quote. Before I dive into my team's argument, allow me to define some key terms within the moot so you could better understand the stance of our team. Oxford Dictionary defines minimum as smallest and lowest, and legal as permitted by law. Merriam-Webster defines drinking age as the age at which a person can legally buy or drink alcohol. Therefore, we redefine the moot as the smallest age that is permitted by law at which a person can buy or drink alcohol should be 16 years in Guyana. In supporting this claim, I will highlight how early exposure produces responsibility. My second speaker will expound on a hidden law that will drastically develop our point and prove that prohibition does not deter consumption. And my third speaker will solidify our team's argument. When one looks at the principles of life, we can clearly see to effectively handle any given situation, one must have understanding and experience on that given grounds. Today, I want to speak to you all about responsibility and understanding it. Today, I came to discuss the ability of a teenager that can actually be responsible. Today, I came to discuss and prove to you that 16-year can be responsible. And because of this, the moot should be supported. The Guyana Legal Aid Clinic website provides us with information concerning consent in all areas of one's life. It provides legitimate responses for popularly asked questions such as, can I get a job? Can I have sexual intercourse? Can I get an abortion? Can I get married? None of these answers provided, you must be 18 years or older. For most, if not all, you can be between 14 to 16 years or older to make life-changing decisions on your own. According to the same website, it was emphasized that persons as young as 14 to 16 years are capable of making decisions such as keeping a child or not, having sexual intercourse or not, working or not, and are allowed to drive a motorcycle. With this, we contend that 16-year-olds must have some necessary maturity to make informed decisions about alcohol consumption. According to the International Labour Organization, in Guyana, the statutory minimum age for employment is 15 years. But where any work is likely to jeopardize the health, safety, and morals of young persons, the age of employment shall be no less than 18 years. This statement clearly shows, though a law is implemented, it still has certain limitations. Whereas a 15-year-old can work, but only jobs they can handle. Our policymakers won't just implement 16 being the legal drinking age and finish there. No, they are going to put things in place to protect our teenagers. By setting the legal drinking age at 16, we create a regulated environment that allows young individuals to learn responsible drinking habits under appropriate supervision. The approach will ensure that they are better equipped to make responsible decisions and choices and reduce potential risky drinking for moderate alcohol consumption can cause no harm. According to an article written in 2019 by Ranker News, the rates of teenage young driving in countries like Italy, Germany, and Austria, where the legal drinking age is 16, are much lower than in the United States, where the drinking age is 21. The report went on to posit such countries that allow 16 years of age or older to make their own decisions relating to alcohol are not seen as an upkick of alcohol-related deaths as a result. All of this is proof of material psychological reactance, where one has the urge to do what they are not told. Supporting the moot will take away this urge. If we want to create responsible drinkers and create a better society, we must have avenues that promotes responsibility. Lowering the drinking age is the best avenue there is.
Thank you, Adeti. And now for the first speaker of the opposing team, I invite Mr. Lalchan Gajadar from the Blairmont Humanitarian Organization to make his way to the podium.
Honorable judges, moderator, and proposition. Good afternoon. We are your opposition. My name is Lalchan Gajjar, and I will explain the moot and why legal consistency is necessary. My second, Amir Khan, will highlight all the negative effects of alcohol consumption on teens. And my third, Sita Dalla, will expound on adolescent impressionability and propensity to peer pressure and violence due to overindulgence. First, it is quintessential that I define minimum and drinking age. Collins defines minimum as the least amount or what is allowed, and Merriam-Webster defines drinking age as that age where one is allowed legally to buy and or consume alcoholic substances. Thus, redefined, the moot claims that the least age one can or is required to be before legally buying and or consuming alcoholic substances should be reduced to 16. We simply do not agree. 16-year-old individuals are teenagers. In fact, it is more apt for me to say that these are children. The proposition is aiming to put alcohol in the hands of children. Think about this. Let this sink in. Judges, most of you here are parents or guardians. Do you wish to see your child, that spark, that promising spark of life, still in school, be given such a dangerous substance? Do you wish to give them such a responsibility? A responsibility, mind you, most adults even can't handle themselves, evident with the amount of misuse and abuse cases we see prevailing in the news is. Think about that. Now then, let me expound on why we need legal consistency. We know the laws exist to protect peace, maintain order, set standards of behavior, among others. But do you know what it fundamentally does? It protects the vulnerable. And who best fits this attribute of vulnerability than our children, the very same 16-year-olds included in this category that the proposition is trying to strip of their protection? We affirm that maintaining this minimum legal drinking age at 18 years aligns with the accepted age at which individuals become adults and gain their constitutional rights and responsibilities as full-fledged adults. This approach promotes consistency in the legal frameworks throughout and recognizes these transitions. So why then would we want to break away from this consistency? Are we to assume that if this is the logic being used and we apply its reasoning, should we also apply it to other age threshold responsibilities? Let's say voting, where Article 59 of the Constitution clearly states only individuals who are 18 and above are afforded that right and responsibility. What about driving on the road, where according to the Motor Vehicles and Road Traffic Act, Article 33, only someone who is 18 years and over can be allowed a full license to operate vehicles such as a car, motorcycle, and truck. These are all rights afforded to adults since they are able to adequately meet the minimum maturity requirements to be given these responsibilities in the first place. So why then are all these laws so consistent with saying, hey, it has to be 18, you need to make it 18? This is because simply the mind of a 16-year-old is still that of a child. There are many, I mean many, fundamental differences between 16 and 18. Common knowledge and scientific data prove these differences. And for argument, I have to make it clear, especially in the realm of cognitive abilities, adults far surpass teenagers. But what makes their brain so superior, so different? It boils down to the full development of their prefrontal cortex. This region of the brain deals with what we call executive function, of which adults possess far better abilities to determine future actions with things related to alcohol use, and they're able to practice proper self-control. This full development of this area here means adults are less impulsive than teenagers since they reason through situations by using logic and experience in order to make them, and they are better able to withstand social pressures since they make their own decisions free from outside persuasion. They're better able to do this. These are all abilities adolescents are growing towards, but again, they have not developed it. This is why only adults, persons of 18 years and older, should be able to access alcohol, and why not individuals who are 16, who are in their final years of puberty can do this, a time when this important region is still developing. Are you telling me, proposition, you wish to hand a bottle of rum to these children? And if you agree, their brains are not able to make proper decisions yet. Do you support this? Do you wish to permanently hinder their brains' abilities to develop later on? But I digress. I have explained enough to get you thinking and further my arguments. My second and third will further in the realms of the physiological and the psychosocial realm. In any case, we can't risk giving them these responsibilities. They simply cannot handle it. And I don't want to see a future where my youth are singing along, the rum don't bother me and beating liquor the whole night. That's the mantra they want. I don't think so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lalchan. Now I invite the second speaker of the proposing team, Mr. Emmanuel Asana from Youth Arise. And let me say that I'm almost certain that the judges here are yet to become parents or guardians of children.
We currently find ourselves at the intersection of law, society, and cultural evolution. And as we ponder upon the minimum legal drinking age in Guyana should be 16 years. Sagacious judges, attentive audience, and learned members of the opposition, a pleasant afternoon to you all. I, Emmanuel Asana, humbly rise as the second speaker before you today, not to merely suggest a change, but to reveal a truth hiding in plain sight within the legislations of our land. A truth about the minimum legal drinking age in Guyana. Before we delve deeper, it is imperative that I have all of you on the same page. Guyana's Intoxicating Liquor Licensing Act, Chapter 8221, Article 51.1 maintains that the sale of intoxicating liquor to anyone between the ages of below the age of 18 is forbidden. However, the exception of selling wine and liquor to someone over 16, provided that it is consumed with a meal, is quite noteworthy. Now let's consider this. Are we to understand that the combination of alcohol and food is crucial element that imparts a 16-year-old with responsibility and maturity to consume alcohol? Or could it be that we're underestimating the capability of our youth? This meal condition is an overcomplication of the law. Let's dissect this even further. If a 16-year-old can be entrusted to responsibly consume alcohol with a meal, it seems only rational to assume that that 16-year-old can also consume alcohol without the obligatory presence of food. Moreover, Article 51.1 is merely not suggesting, but rather asserting that the age of responsibility in the context of alcohol consumption is indeed 16. The legislation already gives and recognizes the capacity of 16-year-olds to consume alcohol responsibly. Hence, we are not arguing that we should lower the drinking age. Rather, we are advocating for the clarification and simplification of a law that already sets the legal drinking age at 16 under specific circumstances. In other words, the legal drinking age in Guyana, for all intents and purposes, is already 16. It just comes with a caveat that does not stand up to close scrutiny. This challenge here isn't as about changing the law, but it's about understanding and interpreting it in a clear, straightforward, and sensible manner. And if we were to focus on the spirit of the law rather than the letter, it becomes clear that the age limit was set not merely to restrict, but rather to protect and guide. If our ultimate goal is to foster responsible alcohol consumption, then a blanket restriction may not be as effective as a comprehensive approach encompassing education and responsible drinking habits. I implore you, honorable judges, attentive audience, to view our laws as not rigid but unchanging effects, but as fluid evolving guidelines that must adapt to the realities of society. Additionally, despite the drinking age being 18, underage drinking is still one of the most prevalent issues in our society. A study conducted by PAHO dated September 2017 in Guyanese high schools found that the prevalence of alcohol within males was 44.4%, while females trailed behind with 34.3%. In countries like Italy and Spain, where there are lower drinking ages, drinking is viewed as a regular part of eating meals and family gathering and not as a taboo, which allows parents to impart responsible drinking responsibilities. Alcohol education is what our Guyanese youths need, not prohibition. And this is not an encouragement to drink, but we should have mandatory classes introduced into our high school curriculums that will include chemistry of alcohol, physical consequences of its abuse, and the active AA sessions. The proposition that we're making today has the ability to retransform the status quo, challenging our traditional wisdom and our inherent fears. But I ask you all to shed their preconceived notions and to be optimistic about embracing a potential reformed law. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. It's time to invite the second speaker of the opposing team, Mr. Amir Khan from Blairmont Humanitarian Organization. Amir, welcome.
All protocols established. Good afternoon. I, the second speaker of the opposition, will discuss the effects of alcohol on the body. Law and judges, honorable proposition. Can I ask you if you would allow your child to use drugs like crack or include permanent deteriorating of their cognitive abilities, such as memory, learning, and decision-making, and impulse control. Their motor skills like movement, coordination, and balance are also affected. My first speaker had expounded on the fact that the prefrontal cortex of these teenagers are not fully developed at 16, and to introduce alcohol at this stage will stagnate this development. At 16, our children are preparing for CSEC examinations. These are a vital period for the rest of their lives. Do you want these children to go to these exams under the influence or using alcohol as a crutch to deal with their already turbulent years of puberty? CSEC is a cognitive intensive activity and mental fortitude is required. How do you expect our children to excel in these examinations when their brain is atrophied? This is what the proposition is ultimately implying when they give their misguided reasons for why the age limit should be reduced. Let us look at the general negative health effects. Long-term alcohol use has been proven to lead to liver damage. It also leads to cardiovascular problems because it weakens the heart, causing high blood pressure, leading to kidney damage, strokes, retinal damage, etc. All of this is proven in the research paper, Alcohol's Effect on the Cardiovascular System, 2015. To sum it up, the analysis paper, Risks Associated with Alcohol Use and Alcoholism by Jorgen Rehm, proves the following. Alcohol use leads to all the negatives I mentioned earlier, and the more alcohol consumed, the higher the risk becomes proportionately. Importantly, to start earlier does not give time to enjoy alcohol, as these risk figures for organ damage nearly doubled when teenagers indulge. Can you, honorable judges and law and proposition, stop and ponder for a moment? If alcohol is already a problem in the US, a country with so many social safeguards, where the legal drinking age is 21 years old, what will happen in Guyana where it is only 18? What will become of society should we go ahead and reduce the legal drinking age even more? My third speaker will expound. Let's keep these children innocent and free from the clutches of these unholy spirits. Let the adults who have a hard time with it already due to our country rum culture, leave the children out of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Amir. Caught me off guard there with unholy spirits. I welcome the third speaker of the proposing team, Ms. Trafiona Peters from Youth Arise, to present on the moot.
Honorable judges and esteemed audience, I, Trafiona Peters, stand before you in hopes to having you consider for a moment that we are not defined by arbitrary numbers, but instead we are shaped by our collective wisdom and our ability to adapt to change. We're discussing subtle but yet complex dance between personal autonomy, social responsibility, law, and overall courage to properly encourage our young people to make life decisions. Restrictive policies do not always result in decrease consumption. In an interview with John McCrell, president of Blueberry College, and I quote, "The age restrictive law is simply a failure. It hasn't reduced or eliminated drinking. It has simply driven an underground or a detrimental closed door." End of quote. This law has created a detrimental culture of irresponsible and reckless behavior through unsupervised and binge drinking. On the Current Watch website, more than 3/4% of youth below the age of 16 are consuming alcohol. As stated on the Caribbean Pub Survey, titled Youth Alcohol, during November 2018, 79% of Guyanese youth has had their first drink before the age of 14. This leads to a higher risk of alcohol poisoning. Lowering the drinking age would allow for safer drinking practices and reduce the incidence of alcohol poisoning among young people. Members of the opposition, you may argue of the possibility of vulnerability and harm, but rather than assuming that 16-year-olds are inherently vulnerable, it's important for us to focus on harm reduction strategies. Lowering the drinking age allows for easier implementation of stricter regulation and the ability to provide controlled supervision to avoid abuse. Laws and norms surrounding alcohol consumption are not static and vary across different countries and culture. The fact that some countries have set the drinking age to 18 or 21 does not negate the possibility of considering it an alternative approach, since although these countries have these high age limits, incidence of underage abuse is at an all-time high. And even if you argue that the risk behavior of our 16-year-old might increase, it is imperative to remember that the behavior is not solely determined by age, but it is influenced by a host of factors such as education, environment, and personal traits. Lowering the drinking age to provide an opportunity for education and responsible drinking initiatives targeting specifically at this age group. Hence, young people can be empowered to make informed decisions and reduce risky behavior associated with alcohol. Lastly, in Guyana, like South America and the Caribbean countries, children are integrated into adult society at a young age. Harmonizing Guyana's drinking age with culturally similar countries, noting that Guyana is amongst the top tourist destinations, reducing the legal age for drinking would be economically beneficial, and hence more youths would prefer to travel here. If youths are our future indeed, we owe it to them to provide all the necessary support while holding them accountable to the ground of responsibilities that we desire of them to possess. For these reasons, we stand firm in the stance that the minimum legal age in Guyana should be 16.
Thank you, Trafiana. I invite the third speaker of the opposing team, Ms. Sita Dalu from the Blairmont Humanitarian Organization, to present on behalf of her team. Sita, it's now your turn.
All protocols observed, good afternoon. Allow me to cement my team's position that the minimum legal drinking age should not be 16 years. My first and second speaker have proven with empirical evidence why the laws of our country already constitute the minimum legal drinking age to be 18 years, and why lowering the minimum drinking age is like filling a glass with alcohol and handing it to your child, knowing that you're destroying their brain cells, hindering their cognitive capacity, and dare I say, ruining their futures. Honorable judges, our argument does not stop there. Let me remind you of the culture of alcohol and violence in Guyana, a tale as old as time, except this is our reality. Imagine a 17-year-old child charged with murder, which according to a news article published in 2022, resulted from a series of events, including him behaving disorderly after he became intoxicated. Members of the proposition, is this the kind of violent behavior we want to prompt among our young people? The Caribbean Public Health Agency lists Guyana as one of the Caribbean countries with a high ratio of adolescent alcohol consumption. Furthermore, the Pan American Health Organization in Guyana highlighted in a study focused on the consumption of alcohol in youths and violent behavior that out of approximately 2,500 students who participated in the Global Student Health Survey, for the prevalence of alcohol consumption for males in schools was 44% and females 34%, while for fights in schools, males was 51% and females 25%. Honorable judges, these statistics are an undeniable indication that the adolescent consumption of alcohol is associated with violence. And reducing the legal drinking age to 16 years will only perpetuate violence in the school systems. Judges, our 16-year-olds are impressionable minors, particularly susceptible to peer influence due to the enormous importance of peers at this developmental age. These teenagers are already being influenced by the mainstream media promoting alcohol consumption, and in their communities where alcohol has become somewhat of a norm. Lowering the legal drinking age to 16 will only dangerously advance the idea that alcohol is safe and accepted, thus stimulating violence and leading to permanent health risk, as outlined by my second speaker. Let me ask you this. What possible benefit does reducing the legal drinking age to 16 have on our teenagers, our children? None. In any case, we cannot ignore the billions of dollars that end up being spent to treat all the negatives that comes with adolescent alcohol consumption. A figure of $12 billion, according to the former health minister. Do you think any amount of profit from alcohol sales to minors could compensate for the decline in cognitive capacity and mental state of our adolescent population, our children, the future of this country? Members of the proposition, look around you. Don't you see what alcohol will do to our children if the minimum legal drinking age is reduced to 16? If you truly believe that the future of this country is youth, and you truly wish to protect our children, then you will stand with us in firm opposition to this moot. Thank you.
Thank you, Sita. And now we will allow the teams 5 minutes to continue the preparation of the rebuttals as well as to conclude those preparations before we hear again from the first speakers of both teams. So now let me take you straight to our public relations officer, Mr. Yannick December, as he will share with us the rules of the Speaker's National Youth Debating Competition. Yannick?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. The rules of this competition are as follows. Participants must be present at least 10 minutes before the commencement of the debate. Lateness without reasonable cause would result in automatic disqualification. Each team must consist of 6 individuals, all from the same youth group. 3 of these individuals will be the substantive debaters, while the other 3 will be standby or alternate debaters. Once a team has started the competition, none of the 6 members shall be replaced. Notice of the unavailability of a member or alternate must be communicated to the Parliament office at least 48 hours before the team's scheduled debate. Failure to comply may result in the disqualification of the team. Each team must indicate its first, second, and third speakers at least 48 hours before the commencement of the debate. The first speaker will be the first speaker of the proposition, followed by the first speaker of the opposition, and shall alternate in this order. The time allotted for each speaker will be as follows. First speaker, 5 minutes. Second speaker, 4 minutes. Third speaker, 4 minutes. And the rebuttal, 5 minutes. The rebuttal will be done by only the first speaker on each team. No new arguments or materials shall be introduced into the rebuttal. Failure to adhere to this rule will result in the deduction of 10 points. A bell will be rung first to indicate that the speaker should commence his or her presentation. The second bell will indicate that 1 minute is remaining, and there will be a final bell when the time has elapsed. 5 points will be deducted from each speaker who does not adhere to the allotted time. In the event of technical difficulties, a speaker may be allotted additional time. This is at the discretion of the judges. Speakers may refer to notes but should not read them. 5 points will be deducted from any speaker who reads a prepared speech. Points will be rewarded for reasoning and logic, originality, relevance, mechanics, articulation, attitude towards opponent, development of argument, and cohesiveness. And finally, the judges' decisions are final. To all the participants in this competition, I say to you, go to your destiny. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Yannick. Those are the rules of our competition. This is the fourth debate in the first round of the Speaker's National Youth Debating Competition. There will be 8 debates in this round. The fifth debate is today at 3:30, and that will be between the Young Influencers and the Green-Fingered Youth Environmental Club. The moot for that debate to follow is CXC school-based assessments should be eliminated. Prior to this fourth debate, there were 3 debates today, and the winning groups from those sessions are first the Leg 1 Progressive Youth Organization, the Guyana Kindness Movement, and the Shortville New Horizon Master Guide and Pathfinder Club. Those 3 groups will be advancing to the second round in the competition, as well as to Youth Parliament 2023. Youth Parliament is slated to commence on the 12th of August. And the best debaters coming out this morning were Mr. Muhendra Ramboji of Leg 1 Progressive Youth Organization, Ms. Tatiana Norton of the Guyana Kindness Movement, and Ms. Sharika Prasad of the Enterprise Young Professionals. Looking at my timekeeper, and so the time for the preparation of the rebuttals has expired. And now let me invite the first person to present the rebuttal, Mr. Lalchan Gajadar from Blairmont Humanitarian Organization, the opposing team. Put your hands together for him.
Protocols established, let me begin. First speaker, let me deal with you. I love your definition, right? You're saying that these children are responsible, but I've said in my first speech that their brains are not fully developed. The very thing that helps them be responsible. So how are they going to be responsible? Moving on. You reference consistency in the law about talking about things like driving a car, joining the workforce, and sexual activity. Let me go down this. I am sure you did not read properly the Motor Vehicles and Road Traffic Act, as your claims are misleading and an interpretation that claims 6-year-olds can drive on the same level as an adult. Let me offer insight. As from the same act in Article 33, subsection 1, that license they gain is only temporary, a mere 3 months from what we call a provisional, and is offered as a way to operate only motorcycles. This is vastly different from a full license that offers you and allows full adults of 18 years to drive cars, motorcycles, trucks, etc. This allows for the operation because the law recognizes we cannot give individuals who cannot properly make decisions as a fact of biology such a responsibility. Again, this is why alcohol is forbidden, because teenagers under 18 cannot, I repeat, cannot make these decisions. Moving on, you claim using alcohol at 16 is akin to that of beginning to fun. Where exactly is the proof of this? The comparison that makes sense. Why have you neglected to show that alcohol is literally a substance that destroys lives? Why have you not said it's addictive? The third most addictive substance, as said by my second speaker. Why have you neglected to show that it's more prone to teenagers to become alcoholics? The statistics show 40%, as my second speaker has said. And this itself is rising by the year, especially in Guyana, where the country is out of being a rum boogie. Look at how many physical illnesses alcohol leads to, how disruptive it is to quality of life. All of these things are health. It causes cancer, liver damage, renal failure. All is mentioned by my speakers. How is such a negative thing compared to regular working at a job where in all probability it pays you well and provides a way for you to learn more skills and improve your life? Your argument simply lacks foundational evidence. Talking about comparing sexual activity with alcohol, let me ask you this. Is sex known to leading to cognitive decline and underdeveloped brains? Is it linked to causing long-term physiological damage like multiple organ failure, etc., hypertension, strokes? Does it cause cancer? You know what does this? Alcohol. This is what causes it. How can you compare sexual activity to literally giving poison to children? Moving on, second speaker. We talked about trying to say that it is a misuse and abuse. This is the essence of the argument with your wine knowledge. And you're referencing one instance of legislation. We know that any dangerous substance, once misused and abused, leads to extreme negative consequences. Regardless if you take away from the fact that if you consume it in excessive amounts or normal amounts, as we have said, my speakers have proven that drinking alcohol gives you all these negative outcomes, and your brain does not fully develop to it. Apart from that, it damages all the organs. Moving on, you're talking about the instance of legislation. One instance of legislation, this is incorrect. You're referencing the spirit of law. Do you know what the spirit of law says? It's essentially the majority, and we have so many references of it saying 18 is this threshold. Driving, the full license, you need to be 18. Voting, you need to be 18. So you cannot mislead a niche portion of the law, allowing for wine consumption under regulations, and say this is the standard. That's simply incorrect. But I must say, thank you for saying that you want to protect, but you cannot do it your own. Moving on, third speaker. You referenced lowering it will only allow us to embrace our culture, or you're using the culture argument. Tell me, alcohol is such a dangerous, it's addictive, leaves your physical health in shambles with prolonged use, and for a case prevents proper brain development, as I've said so many times. My second speaker has already listed in detail all these effects and how terrible they are. Do you really want to take the argument of using culture as a valid response to literally actively our youth? Again, that study you took from Blueberry, I'm pretty sure, as I've read this, that it's a study done in the Americas where they are fighting for lowering from 21 to 18, which my side is fighting for. So does that not indirectly agree with my side? Does that not show they are saying 18 is the threshold? Moving on. Thank you for saying that it is time to change our culture. Yes, culture is ever changing and we need to change it. We need to move away from being wrong. We owe them the ability to keep them safe, but as I've said before, your points and your positions cannot keep them safe. Finally, there is a small portion we reference economic activity. Are you really going to put a price on our country's future? You want to tell me because money could be made, that makes it okay? My third speaker has neatly rebutted this already. She has said we spend so many billions in healthcare treating these youths. So where's this profit going? Most of it becomes taxes, and we're not using it for the country. We're using it to treat these people. So a margin of profit is what you're telling me you want to give up our youths for? I don't think so. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Lal Chan. And for the final word today, the rebuttal from the proposing side will be presented by Ms. Adeti McCalmont of Youth Arise.
Good afternoon once again to everyone present today. I, Adet McCalmont, stand once more still fully convinced with today's moot, and I quote, the minimum legal drinking age in Guyana should be 16 years, end quote. Please allow me to dissect and respectfully refute the flawed arguments presented by our dear friends on the opposition today. The first speaker of the opposition stated 16-year-olds are teenagers. In fact, they are children. So you don't want to provide a platform to educate these children about alcohol, but you can educate and allow them to have sexual intercourse, get married, ride a motorcycle, which I stated in my speech, according to the Guyana Legal Aid Clinic, they are allowed to make these decisions. You asked if we wish to hand the bottle to these teens. I will answer you, my dear friend. Like I said in my speech, By setting the legal drinking age at 16, we create a regulated environment that allows young individuals to learn responsible drinking habits. So no, we are not handing them a bottle. We are creating avenues to educate them and set things in place to protect them. Like I said, a law may be implemented, but it has limits. Your second speaker went on to explain, like drugs, alcohol have harmful effects. We are not here to be reckless. We are here to present reasons why the drinking age should be 16 and possible methods to safeguard that decision. Please be reminded, like I said, moderate alcohol consumption can cause no harm. So yes, the more alcohol they use, you said higher risk of lung cancer. Again, moderate alcohol consumption can cause no harm. Your second speaker stated alcohol affects adolescents differently from adults. Where are your statistics to prove? You guys spoke about health ramifications, but as our third speaker stated, we are not advocating for abuse. In fact, the third speaker explained alcohol education is what our youths need, not prohibition. When we legalize, as he explained, mandatory classes should be put in place and introduced that teaches about chemistry of alcohol and the like with AA sessions. I am sure the same way they can decide to do the act that brings babies into the world, they can understand via education how much alcohol they can take and they should take. Your third speaker said that alcohol causes harm and crime. But my third speaker already dealt with that when she explained behavior is not solely determined by age, but it is influenced by other hosts of factors, including personal traits, environment, and education. You guys reference having the law be sensible and it's right, should keep the drinking age at 18. However, my second speaker already proved the law itself allowed drinking at 16, but under specific circumstances, which brings this into saying, come on, let us educate our youths. Let us create that avenue for responsible drinking. Let us allow the minimum legal age in Guyana to be 16. Thank you.
Thank you, Adet. Is your name Adet or Adiet? It's what I've been given in my script. But thank you so much for the correction, Adiet. That was a very well done rebuttal. And on the other side as well, two strong teams we have here today. Both rebuttals. I don't know how the judges are going to make a decision on the winning team today. I think you both deserve a round of applause. So put your hands together for yourself. All right, we commend you and thank you for taking the time to be here, especially Burby. So I know it's a long distance, but we thank you and you can speak with the guys over here concerning your arrangements. All right, so let me recognize some of our online viewers. I recognize Gavin Thomas. He is a former debater and someone we admire as well here at the Parliament office. So Gavin, thank you for being on the live. Andrew King, welcome. Jalil Ward. Andrew King is also commending Emmanuel on his presentation. I see Honorable Member of Parliament Alistair Charlie is also online viewing the debate. And he's also commending Emmanuel. Apparently, Emmanuel, you made an impression on them. Vlissas Edwards, of course, you're here and I cannot miss you. Thank you for joining. And all of you online, share the live and encourage others to listen to the brilliant minds of our country. Malika Russell, a former debater, youth parliamentarian, is also online. Andrew King has some strong points that I will not read at this time. Angelique Emmanuel, welcome to the live today. I see Gavin Thomas was also taken aback by the unholy spirits comment that was made. And Malika is pointing out that it's the responsibility and the irresponsible nature of the use of alcohol that leads to negative impacts, a statement I quite agree with. Nadia Ramtar, welcome to our live today. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much. Anika Felician is on as well, a former youth parliamentarian. Thank you for being here. Amanda Rahamat, we recognize you, we see you. And Hema Singh is saying, well done to both teams. It's always a pleasure to have our online audience with us. And I'm looking to the judges to see if they're ready to give us their comments, as well as the announcement. And the chief judge is indicating that a minute more is needed. Remember that we will be back at 3:30 p.m. for another thrilling match in which the young influencers will compete against the green-fingered Youth Environmental Club. That promises to be an exciting debate as well. And that will conclude the debates for today. 5 debates in the Speaker's National Youth Debating Competition. We will come again tomorrow at 3 p.m. for another debate, and then on Friday to conclude. Judges, are we ready? It's a humongous task to decide on the winners today. I told you we have 2 very strong teams here. I don't know how they're going to make that decision, but let me tell you about the upcoming debates. So I mentioned the debate today. That's at 3, not 3:30, right? What time is the debate today? 3:30, okay. So that's at 3:30, and the debate tomorrow is at 3 p.m. On Friday, we will have the Bartica Youth Group going up against the University of Guyana Student Society. That's the Tain campus at 1 p.m. And at 2:30 p.m., we will have Aishalton Secondary School Youth Group going up against the Port Kaituma Youth Group. That moot will be all public protests should be banned. All public protests should be banned. And the debate before that one, the moot is wildlife hunting should be banned. So we will be discussing banning wildlife hunting as well as all public protests on Friday. And the chief judge has indicated that they are ready. So of course, as is customary, I will invite first Judge Safraz Yakub for some brief remarks before moving to Judge Gabriel, and then finally, Chief Judge Fraser.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. As usual, it's a pleasure to be here and witness the battle of wits. So we've had good points from both sides. I'd like to congratulate both of you for making the effort to come here today. You know, you took time off, and it shows that you're interested in the competition and you are interested in debating. So that is commendable. Now, getting into the analysis, many points were made, some that could have been made as well. We've had things on cultural and social norms. We've had responsibilities. We could have had reduced binge drinking because, you know, this here teaches you restraint and you won't have to hide it, you know, if you're given the option to say, okay, I can do this at 16, but, you know, then we've had health risks and development, increased accidents and death. That could have been something as well because it pressures the public health system. So if you are on the road and then you have persons that are drinking, and then obviously if you lower the age, you have a wider population dynamic there. So then it increases that risk naturally for accidents. So then it puts a strain on the healthcare system. So some things to improve on. You want to vary your tone. You don't want to bore your audience. So even though you have something here that it's very, very well done and very well planned out, the delivery is key. You don't want to come and scream, neither do you want to come and you're just saying one thing in a nice soft voice and that's it. You want to balance it so that if I'm nodding off while I'm listening and then you vary it, I can jump up back and say, yeah, this is something that I'm paying attention to, right? So you look at that. Also, we've had something similar to this topic in the sense of the voting age recently, whereby there was a debate where we should lower the voting age to 16. And taking into account some of the same principles from that, when you are citing sources for a topic like this, it states in Guyana. So if you're citing sources from Australia, from New York, and all of these things, bear in mind, these individuals there are susceptible to different environments. So they might behave differently. As I've said before, in countries that are at war, those persons develop different physically, and the mindset as well is not the same as a country that might not be at war. And it is due to the circumstances. So what might be acceptable for 16-year-olds in one country might not be acceptable to that same range in Guyana, merely based on the fact of the environmental factor and what is going on in the country. So when you're citing sources from these places, you have to be careful to know that, maybe we can't use this because it's not applicable here. Also, all protocols observed. We've had some judges mention this before, and MPs as well mentioned this. When you're using the phrase all protocols observed, it means that there's someone that you do not want to address, right? Because if I'm to say, Madam Chair, judges, technical team, and I go on, right? I know in the sense that you're doing it to cut short the time, right? But the history of it is that when you have an enemy in the opposite camp and you don't want to call their name, just because, you might have hatred towards them, or hate is a strong word, but you might dislike them, you don't want to say their name. So you say all protocols observed and you just get on with it. So these are things to improve on, but you guys did fairly well. It was interesting and you have bright futures ahead. So keep pushing and hopefully we can see more of you going forward. So thank you.
Many lessons in those remarks. Judge Gabriel, I welcome your comments.
All right, so it was interesting. Thank you so much again for putting somewhat of your best foot forward. It's always amazing to see people who are able to project and also try to convince persons of their motion or their mood that is presented to us. I think if persons are able to present well and are able to stand at a podium and not read or look at the paper, it speaks a lot. It speaks of how well prepared you are, and it speaks of how you've handled this entire debate process. We all need to try to, as we go forward, try to lessen on the reading, try to project your points, try to know how to continue off of what you've said last, and also learn to better defend what you're standing up against or what you're standing for. I see that we had some persons who possibly had more experience in debating, and that was really good. I think they would have put forward their best foot, and that is pleasing to know. One more thing is that when you're looking at law and society, I think interpretation is very important, and how you interpret those laws, and you have to know exactly that laws are set to guide and to protect the citizens and the persons and make sure that the country runs. However, it is subject to interpretation, and the interpretation of judges whenever there's an uncertainty or something that happens, it is what it is intended to do. So when we're looking at laws, we have to know what the intention was, or at least try to find something similar that we are able to bounce off of that and continue. It is a very interesting topic. I learned about it years ago. Tried to read up to see if I could go into a restaurant and drink at 16. But good job, everyone, to both the teams. And I am happy to see that this topic was debated in a way that I found at least a little bit pleasing.
Thank you, Judge Gabriel. And now for some comments and the declaration of the winning team as well as the best debater, I invite Judge Dr. Delon Fraser.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. And of course, thank you very much, fellow judges. I first want to congratulate both teams for a job well done this afternoon. We saw that you had a lot of preparation in respect to researching, and we found that there were lots of authority being used, which is really good, especially for a topic like this. I would like to commend both teams as well for their structure in their presentations. I thought that you, from the get-go, had given the judges at least an indication as to what is your position on the moot and which other speaker will be dealing with what primarily. I thought that was a really neat blueprint or a map to how we are going to, of course, pay attention to where you go and how that flow will happen. There are a few things I need both teams to work on. And firstly, I would like for both of you to start using smoother transitions. As you move from one point to the other, I would always encourage students and any presenter, every time you get up to speak, we must be able to follow from your introduction to the development of your points as well as to the conclusion. And the only way you can do this is to take us along this journey. So use more transitions. Moreover, thereafter, to name a few. Secondly, I would love for you all to try as much as you can to develop your points a bit more. While we understand as judges what you want to say, we can only score you on what you have actually presented. So I want both of you, both teams, to please look at your development. State your point, state an example of whatever kind, state the point that will develop that particular point that you stated, and of course, tighten on it. Don't just leave it hanging there for us to think, oh, this is where she or he is taking us. And lastly, podium ethics. I saw some of you caressing that podium. And I don't like when presenters caress the podium. So in the future, the podium, lectern, rostrum is just for you to take your reading material or whatever material and you rest it nicely there. That's all is required of you. And then you present. So most of you this afternoon robbed us of the opportunity of seeing your body language because you were either hidden behind the podium or you were so heavily dependent on your reading material. So I would encourage you to please just remember that for me. That being said, I will now go into delivering the scores. Madam Moderator, fellow judges, presenters, the judges had a very, very hard task this afternoon, to be honest, in coming up with these scores. One team scored a total of 210 points, 210.9. And of course, you should know who's the person that gave you the point. All right? No indications here. So we had the judges together, scored one team 210.9 and another team 226.3. And let me tell you this, you see how very close it was? Two of the judges were very consistent in their scores. So it was left now to that one single judge to really and truly to break that. And so altogether, we thought that this team that scored the maximum points this afternoon was the opposing team, the Youth Arise. And so I would also now like to tell you that we had a very hard task in also coming up with the best speaker. And the reason for this is that most of the speakers would have read and depended on their script. And so it was very hard for us to really score and find that unique individual who would have been the best speaker. And so together, compromise again with the judges, because we all had 3 different names. But together we decide that the best speaker for this afternoon's debate is none other than the first speaker of the opposition, Mr. Lalchan Gadahar. Right. So thank you so much for giving us the courtesy of your attention. And we do look forward to hearing more of this competition. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Chief Judge. Congratulations, Youth Arise. And thank you, of course, to Blairmont for making it here. Congratulations also to Lalchan. That was well deserved. Thank you, judges, for availing your time. Thank you, online audience, for being with us. Continue to be with us this afternoon for the next debate at 3:30. Thank you, staff. Good afternoon, everyone.
We are a peaceful people. Struggle is with struggle. And we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Big mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not